Hi everyone, thank you so much for tuning in. In this video, we'll be taking a look at how the tactic that Pep Guardiola uses with John Stones, how could that be benefit for Barcelona? And also the disadvantages this might hold for us, as that would not be all smooth sailing. We would have to compromise and actually sacrifice maybe one or two players. But before we get into the video, please do subscribe to the channel. I also wanted to thank each and every one of you guys who've been supporting and also watching the videos non-stop and also been doing this. So let's get right into the video with me and let's see how Eric Garcia or maybe even Christensen can benefit from this tactic that Guardiola has invented at Manchester City with John Stones. As we know by now, teams like to press in a 4-2-3-1, especially the big teams against the likes of Barcelona, Arsenal and Manchester City because of the 4-3-3. You can easily get your single pivot covered if you have a 4-3-3 formation. This is why teams defend so good against Manchester City and so deep, because they want to have the deep lying player marked. But this is where Pep Guardiola is totally undoing all the hard work of teams by simply having John Stones coming into midfield to create a double pivot. Now Musiala, for this example right here, has to cover Rodri and Stones. Where everybody else has to come over, Diaz, Ake and Akanji all comes over. So now in the build-up phase, you have a few numerical advantages because Moting is now only one against the three of City, where Coman and Rodri actually have to come narrow in order to help Musiala out in this example right here. Musiala cannot afford to push up next to Moting now, because then it will be a gaping hole in midfield where the ball could easily be rotated to them. So for most of the time, Moting or Musiala has to stay in their position in order to pin everybody down. The backline in this case is also pinned backwards because Grealish and Silva is now extremely high, where Gundogan and De Bruyne is pinning Goretzka and Kimmich in this case. Now there's a whole bunch of stuff that can go on here, because now you can easily pull the opposition to one side, because Gundogan can easily go into the position right over here, Haaland can go over here, and De Bruyne can actually stay in his positioning, but Kimmich has to follow Gundogan and Goretzka has to come here. This is where you see that De Bruyne can, in the half space right here, receives a lot of balls and totally destroy this. And I think Pep Guardiola specifically did this to free up Kevin De Bruyne in the space here. You will see that he does underlapping runs combining along with Silva, or because he receives the ball here, Haaland can run on the shoulder of Upamecano, and De Bruyne with his ability can easily find Haaland in that space right there. So let's see how this would actually benefit Barca and how Xavi could make this work in order to get us to use the system. Benefits that this has for FC Barcelona is tremendous, because we can use Christensen and Eric Garcia in the same way, and we know that Barca has been trying to have Eric Garcia as a pivot, where they could simply go into midfield next to Sergio Busquets to create a double pivot, and we do have enough players to actually be in right here. The only disadvantage would be here we would have to play Marcos Alonso instead of Alejandro Balde. But from the good side, this would actually allow Frenkie de Jong to be up high. And just imagine yourself how much damage Frenkie would cause with his dribbling a lot higher up the pitch, because we've seen in the past and in this season that he's dribbling from way deep. Now imagine yourself him doing that in the final third or close to the final third. And the same, like Frenkie can actually drop into the positions right here to receive the ball. Now imagine yourself he gets around the pole, for an example, and he has Pedri, Lewandowski, Gavi and Rafinha to work with. Now this would actually free up him completely. And also another advantage, imagine Pedri receiving a ball in between the lines because of Frenkie's dribbling. The same like Gundogan and De Bruyne, we can actually do a lot of damage, especially with Frenkie de Jong in that position. Rafinha then also receiving the ball and the crossing Lewandowski, making the far runs in behind the defense or behind the shoulder of the defender. This could just create tremendous advantages for Barca. But like I said, the only problem would be Alejandro Balde and getting rid of him. But this would benefit Frenkie de Jong and Pedri a whole lot. And also maybe we would have to sacrifice Gavi in this example. We know that Gavi hasn't been great without Pedri and de Jong. he hasn't been able to have an impact on the team alone like those two has. So to just recap, all of the disadvantages we would have is Alejandro Balde and maybe sacrificing Gavi, because we're gonna have to need a winger on that position like Ansu Fati or Ferran Torres. And the only other thing is we have to play Marcos Alonso, which is going to leave us vulnerable in defense. Because remember, ultimately, when we lose the ball and the opposition have the ball, this player would have to run back. And they could easily take advantage of the position and let him receive the ball in behind right there. And that is the disadvantages, I think, of the system would be. You would have to be on point though, because we can try this against small teams first and it will actually work devastatingly. Meaning, if we do that, Frankie de Jong would not have to drop next to Sergio Busquets. He would be higher up the pitch, like I said, having all of the damage that he can do higher up the pitch, and also have Pedri. But like I said, we're going to have some disadvantages of using this particular system. Gavi, Alejandro Balde maybe would have to be sacrificed to accomplish this. Let me know down in the comment section, what do you guys think? Would the system work for Barca or would it not? I think a lot of you would not be happy to sacrifice Alejandro Balde or Gavi or both at the same time for Marcos Alonso or Ferran Torres or Ansu Fati. But it will be a good system to try out. We definitely know that Eric Garcia has been tried out as a pivot. Let me know down in the comment section, what do you think? Also do subscribe to the channel, as that will be helping us a lot. And thank you very much for watching. Goodbye.